Hello and a very warm welcome to the brand new edition of To The Point. I'm Kriti Mishra. And on today's show, my guest is Youth Affairs and Sports Minister, Mr. Kiren Rijiju. Sir, welcome to Rajya Sabha Television and thank you so much for joining us in this era of social distancing.
Thank you very much.
Sir, first and foremost, tell us about the precautions that are being taken up in the stadiums in the fourth phase of the lockdown.
After a long gap of lockdown, all the systems, including our facilities, were closed down. So we will have to have a proper roadmap in place to start and reopen all these facilities. So we were worried about the fitness of the athletes, first of all, because they have been locked down for too long. So we will have to start with their minimum practice session, minimum space, whatever is required for their initial practice. So we can't just open up everything at one go. So we have prepared a detailed SOP. These standard operating procedures will guide for all the athletes, each separate sporting disciplines, how they should go forward, in what manner, taking into account the safety and health is our topmost priority. So now, since we have laid down the guidelines, it has been issued, and all the national sports federations are taken in on board, we are confident that some of them have started in an informal manner, and many are on the way to start it. And we have already given permission to start the sporting activities in the stadia as well as in the area of the sports complex, not here and there. So it has to be in a controlled manner. So I'm very satisfied with the guidelines which we have issued and happy to see the positive response from the stakeholders, including the athletes.
So we understand that there would be resumption of training in a phased manner with those who have qualified for the postponed Tokyo Olympics, and then there are those who will be up for qualification. But how is the medical screening being conducted?
This is quite a technical thing. Each sports complex has its own physical structure. So that will have to be checked into. And then like screening of the athletes, thermo checking system, and washing hands, all the protocols are there. These are technical things. So according to the medical guides, we are doing as per the suggestions we got from the medical experts, including some of our top sports experts who are dealing with this kind of issues. So each stadium or each the sports complex will have its own regulated guidelines. I'm sure the athletes will follow it, including strict monitoring of people who are accessible to those sporting facilities. So these are some of the important guidelines which I have issued it just 3 days back, and now it's in the public domain also.
Absolutely, sir. The protocols are in public domain, the SOP is there, the guidelines are there. But how will the ministry ensure that there is strict adherence or implementation of these guidelines?
See, first of all, we are working as a catalyst to the various sports bodies. So the sports federations, like Indian Olympic Association, along with all the sports federations, will have to be very, very strict and careful in carrying forward these sporting activities. We have issued a general guideline to all. Now, after issuing of these guidelines, there are different institutes like Sport Authority of India. We have different training academies like the National Sports Academy, National Institute of Sports in Patiala, all this National Center of Excellence in Bangalore, in Delhi, Sonepat, Kolkata. There are so many sports centers which are directly under the control of SAI. So I, as a minister, I am the chairman of the Sports Authority of India. So for us, no problem. We have our officers there. We have all our manpower manning those academies with a guarded, facilities. All the centers are properly demarcated, properly fenced. properly controlled, managed, monitored. So it is easier to control. Now coming to these state academies, there are some sports academies run by the state government. These are to be followed as per the procedures laid down in our guidelines as well as the respective state governments. And there are some academies which are private run academies, but we support, we partially fund them, like Gopi Chand Academy, Prakash Padukan Dravid Academies, Mary Kom Academies. There are many sports academies, India Khelega in Pune. So those private sports academies which are accredited to our ministry, sports ministry under Khelo India, we are giving them funding. So for them, they will have to, the management will have to ensure that they follow the strict guidelines issued by the ministry. So these are different categories. I'm sure that sports, and sports persons are disciplined people. Those people who are working in sports field are very disciplined people by nature, by character, and by necessity. So I'm sure there should be no flouting of rules and regulations. Everybody will come, play, and maintain whatever guideline is there, and then remain safe.
Absolutely, sir. There is a certain degree of discipline in sporting events, and we do hope that all the guidelines are being followed. Now that you've started resuming the activities in a phased manner, but the moot question remains, how are you deliberating on ways to restart training in contact sports such as boxing or wrestling? Both cannot do without sparring with each other, which might be considered a health risk, sir, even during a time when handshake or touch can be considered unhealthy or risky.
See, these are something which the respective coaches, the physical trainers, and the high performance directors, they will have to ensure that what is the best way of uh, giving them practice. For example, boxing. Other than physical contact with the opponent, what is the best way? Because I'm as a minister, I cannot tell this is the best way to do it. So the experts will have to formulate their own way of taking forward the practice. But full-fledged practice or full-fledged match will not be possible immediately, because you will have to get on with the new way of life, the new system. So I think there are some sports which can be resumed immediately, like badminton, table tennis, chess, golf. These are sports where you are not directly in contact with the opponent players. So for the practice as well as for the matches, it can be resumed immediately. But for the contact sports like boxing, wrestling, football, kabaddi, there are many other sports which are very, very physical. So that will require certain kind of guidelines which are more stringent than the other sports. So different sports have different characters. So you will have to ensure that as per the need base, we'll have to do. See, we have to remember one thing, that at this point of time, fighting against coronavirus is the priority of the nation for everybody. So safety and health becomes the priority. So thereafter, keeping that in our mind, we'll have to ensure that the sporting activities also will have to take place. A nation or a life without sporting activities is dull. It's lifeless. So we have to understand that we need sporting events as soon as possible, and then let the sports person enjoy. Let people again get to see the sporting events. So these are the priorities, and we are carefully treating it.
Absolutely, sir. And what's the way ahead for mega sporting events in India, for example, IPL?
I think the BCCI has already started preparation for their conduct. And cricket, as you know,
Yes.
you don't need to contact. The bowler throws and the batsman hits, so there's no physical contact as such. But still, the precautionary steps have to be taken. But the more important point is how to start the event without spectators.
Right.
So, because we are not going to have spectators in the stadium, and we'll have to live with this new normal, new situation for quite some time. How to start the event? These are something, but for gathering of large people in a particular place, this will be done only after the governments give clearance, state government, central government, the authorities. So these are strict guidelines which the sovereign government of any nation will have to take a sovereign call, because the health of the nation, the citizens, this is so much at the utmost priority. So I can't really tell about when to start, how to start, but since we have given permission for sporting event in the stadia as well as in the sporting complex, any of the sports complex, events can be taken place, but without spectators. Spectator issue, we will have to handle it later on.
Absolutely, sir. And talking about another sport, which is table tennis, you've also promised grand ultimate table tennis post COVID-19. Tell us more about that, sir.
Yes, like table tennis, because I used to play table tennis in my school days, very younger days. When I grew up, I started playing football, volleyball, and other hard games. But when I was younger, I used to love table tennis. So there was one video conferencing on table tennis. So I had promised them that in the coming seasons, whenever we have the table tennis tournament like ultimate table tennis, we have to ensure that more crowds participate. See, table tennis is easier to spread the game. You just need a table, a hall, and a bat and ball. So this game is easy. It's not like football. You need a ground, or badminton. You need the whole court. Table tennis, you just need the table. Table can be transported. So on that context, I said it's easier to reach table tennis to all parts of the country. So not only table tennis, my ultimate aim is to make India a great sporting nation. So for that, we'll have to ensure that we provide facilities, create a sporting culture in the country. So table tennis is one of favorite games. So we can definitely make it as a popular in all the schools, colleges, even in the hostels, institutes, and all everywhere. You must have also played table tennis
Yes,
in
sir.
your college days. So
I
it's
did.
very, ping pong. This game is the Britishers had invented this game long time back. So this is becoming popular in India. Also, it's growing. It's a popularity.
Mr. Rijiju, you're also often seen using technology to inspire athletes. How do you do that? How do you connect to them in this era of lockdown?
See, what I wanted to convey the message is that the sports minister is well aware and hands-on with the issues and the need of the sports, the game itself as well as the athletes. So the best way is to make accessible. If you are accessible to them, then you will understand them, and they must feel that the sports minister understands us. So that is how I try to reach out to them. Even before the lockdown, I have visited most of the academies and interacted with the coaches, the athletes, the trainers, all those technical people who are supporting, who are behind the game, supporting the athletes are also important. So I try to interact with them also, and the management, the officials, the corporate world. So we'll have to see the entire canvas of the sporting world. So by remain connected with them, it gives a better message. So to create sporting culture, you have to ensure that the welfare of the sports persons are well taken care of. So I had taken certain important decisions to take care of the sports persons in need. If any sports person is having any difficulties, I try to reach out to them, or my office remains active. So that is how I try to remain in touch with them, reach out to them using technology. At the same time, I also try to be active. If they see that if the sports minister is physically not active, so it may not inspire them. So I thought that I should also be physically, mentally active to be, seen as an active sports minister. I think it's working well.
Absolutely, sir. Sir, I keep asking this to a lot of experts that I interact or interview about the post corona life. Now, sports is one arena where a lot of activity is required, physical contact is required. You've urged a lot of people, including athletes, to expect a lot of change in their day-to-day lives, functioning even after the situation normalizes. What is this new normal that you're looking at?
See, first of all, um, the life of an athlete is bound by certain circumstances. Number one is a discipline. You have to be disciplined. A successful athlete has to be a disciplined person. He has to be a disciplined human being, first of all. So one has to remain under a certain protocol. And secondly, sports is used to, be played with lots of spectators, lots of people coming to you, interact and all. So you have to live in isolation. So this is a new normal. So you will be only in touch, close touch with your coaches or your physical trainers and all. So you will be in the confinement in certain circumstances. And within that condition, you'll have to maintain entire your performance, your physical prowess, which you are good at. That will have to be maintained. But if you try to go out of this situation, then you will finish your career. Sporting, one incident can finish the career of a sports person. So that is why I have told them, try to come into the real term that the new normal will remain for quite some time. For a foreseeable future, there's no chance of getting inside the crowd, doing whatever you used to do in the earlier time, and lots of spectators cheering, supporting, sloganeering. This will not happen. So you have to play under a very quiet circumstances. But we are taking care of the other provisions like telecasting via, uh, television or social media platforms. So we are doing that, and many of the stakeholders are looking into that. So there should be no any kind of obstacles created in the advancement of the prospects in the life of a sports person. But the new normal teaches us to live in a new way. So that is what I was telling all the athletes, that try to learn the new way of life, at least for some time.
And so, how do you foresee India emerge as a strong sporting nation post COVID 19?
See, the COVID issue is affecting everyone. So every nation, especially the developed countries, are more severely affected. So this is a global, phenomenon. So this pandemic is a global phenomenon. So no country is left out. Under these circumstances, which country emerges in what manner depends on how that particular country devotes with lots of commitment in securing uh, all this safety, and as well as how to tackle these challenges. So I'm sure with our strong leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, the way he has handled the situation, and compared to the other countries, look at India's population and the population of European countries and US. India's population is more than the combined population of Europe, USA, the entire Americas, North America, South America, and Europe. Still, India's population is more. And if you see the death rate, how many people have lost their lives. Even if you lose one life, is also precious. But if I'm talking about a comparative statement, then India has done much better than those countries. If Prime Minister had not taken those stringent steps in the right time, we would have been in a terrible shape. So looking at all this situation, India should emerge better. And in the sporting arena also, I'm sure we will emerge stronger. So maybe post-COVID, my dream of making India a great sporting powerhouse will become more closer to reality. And hopefully we will achieve that as soon as possible.
We do hope and we do pray for it. But, Mr. Rijiju, lastly, the Indian Olympic Association or the federations have requested the sports ministry for one-time financial assistance to tide over the losses triggered by COVID-19 pandemic. What is your take, sir?
See, this is a financial issue. From my side as a sports minister, I have never let any sports federation wanting to have more financial support from the ministry. We have been extending all financial support to all the recognized sports federation. So they have been getting, and they will get in future also. As regards to the special package, if it requires so, definitely I'll discuss with the finance minister, and of course, if necessary, with the honorable prime minister. If necessary, we will discuss about that. But what I am more concerned right now is what is immediately required, all the financial assistance, that should continue. And we are supporting the athletes. We are all the top athletes, all those who are in the top scheme, they are funded by us. All the centers, the SAI recognized sporting centers, academies, all they are well funded by ministry. Federations are being provided, they are being funded for all the calendar events in a year. We seek all their annual calendar events, and accordingly we finance them. So as of now, the government is providing financial support. I cannot claim that we have given all what they need, or we have given more than what they need. There may be shortages, but within that limited funding or whatever is the budgetary allocation, we are only few countries in the world who have a state fund system for the sporting federations. So as of now, we are doing good, and if necessary, I'm open to discussion.
Absolutely, sir. Mr. Rijiju, you joined us through Skype in these testing times in the era of social distancing. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for giving us all those valuable inputs, sir.
It's my pleasure, Kriti, and my pleasure to talk to you on the subject of sports. Thank you.
Right, sir. Thank you.